Hi, this is Deborah Roth from Spirited Living, and I am delighted to be back here with you with a new installment in my year-long vlog series at the Wellness Universe. If you don't know the Wellness Universe, definitely check them out. If you're seeing this for the first time on YouTube, they are a wonderful community of practitioners where you can find a place for anyone who has any modality that they want to share, or anyone who's looking for any kind of modality to take care of you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And I've done several different year-long series with them. This one I'm calling Spiritual Practices for Mind, Body, and Spirit Wholeness. And this last month I started in January with the Chair of Joy. You can see more about that. Next month will be a longer one called Kirtan Kriya. But this month I'm introducing you to a really wonderful program, practice, process that I was introduced to during the pandemic, actually, when two dear coach friends of mine grabbed me and said, "Hey, we got to do this training together." It's a 7-week training, and it blew my mind for a bunch of reasons. It's from the Positive Intelligence community, created by Shirzad Hameen, who has a wonderful book. He's a former Stanford professor, and there's so many things that I love about it. And one of them is that it's really all about helping us to make sure that every chance we get, whatever input from a person, from a situation that we get, that we are operating from our highest, best self, our sage brain, what in the positive intelligence world, and the abbreviation for that is PQ, just like EQ, it's PQ. In the positive intelligence world, that's called our sage brain. Instead of being hijacked when we have, stressful things come into our world, instead of being hijacked to the negative response, which and who controls that part of our brain is the saboteurs, is what we call the saboteurs in the PQ world. So the idea is not only to be able to catch yourself when you're in a stressful situation, but ongoingly throughout the day to constantly be strengthening your PQ muscle, just like you go to the gym to strengthen your body's muscles. This is about changing and creating a new way of getting your brain to work. It's mental fitness as opposed to physical fitness. And you can do that very specifically. And there have been wonderful studies that the positive intelligence folks have done to show what kind of results in relationships, in performance, in stress levels, that doing an ongoing practice of PQ reps, just like you go to the gym, you do your PQ, you do your reps there, you do PQ reps, and you do that through this nifty, just a little picture, a little show and tell here, through an app. And I'm not a big techie person, but you start each day with just an overall lesson, and then every 3 hours, a different exercise, comes up for you to be able to just keep your PQ muscle going all the time, which even when you're faced with a stressful situation, you'll be able to respond from a stronger place. So the idea with that, it's kind of a 3-pronged strategy for using the PQ system. One is to weaken the saboteurs. I'm going to tell you what they are in a minute. The other is to strengthen your sage powers, your sage brain, and there are 5 sage powers that you can do that through. Now, as you listen to this, you may get the impression, not incorrectly, that the saboteurs can work out of our very linear left side of the brain, very rational. They kind of jump in. They're our survival part of the brain, really. And the sage brain operates more out of the right side of the brain. So we want to be able to, when input comes in, to make sure that the neural pathways are going the direction that we want them to. So the five sage powers that are developed through this program are, I want to make sure I get them all because I always forget at least one. Activate, which is basically when you take action, when someone, when something comes in. Empathize, that kind of, speaks for itself. That's really making sure that we are taking care of ourselves and empathizing with others as well. Explore, looking for new opportunities and being curious and open about what's behind whatever this situation or person, whatever, wherever they're coming from. The next one is innovate, and that's looking for new and different ideas, thinking outside of the box for how we might respond instead of a knee-jerk, oh no, you want to think about, yes, maybe, and maybe we could do this. And then the last one is navigate, and that's looking at all the options and everything that you're being faced with, and thinking about how would your deepest self or your wisest self, how would your wise self 40 years from now look back and say, oh, I wish I'd handled it that way. So those are the 5 sage powers: activate, empathize, see, I told you, explore, innovate, and navigate. Now, we want to bring them in because these saboteurs, some people call them your gremlins, we all have them. And the idea is to find out what are your top ones. There is a saboteur assessment on my website at spiritedliving.com. And you can also go to the PQ website, which is justpositiveintelligence.com, and get a further description. But I think even as I just name them, you don't have to know a whole lot about them to understand that, it's like, oh, that sounds like a little bit like what operates for me. We don't want to say I am a judge. That's like the big granddaddy, grandmommy of saboteurs. We want to say, oh, that's my judge operating. We don't want to become these saboteurs. But so I'm going to run through them, listen, see what sounds right for you. Avoider, being like overly positive all the time. Controller, hyperachiever, hyper-rational, really stuck in your head. Hyper-vigilant, always expecting the shoe to drop. Pleaser, full disclosure, that's my top saboteur. Restless, just has to keep moving, has to keep, busy all the time. Stickler, the perfectionist. Any of these resonate with you yet? And victim, oh, the woe is me part of us. Now, most of these were maybe at some point or another important defense mechanisms when we were younger. And we may still operate out of some of them, but we don't want to be ruled by them. We don't want to constantly be hijacked. So the idea is to create this practice, just like when you go to the gym and you do reps at the gym, of PQ reps. And you can do them through the app, and they guide you through. They say, oh, do this particular one. And they're tactile ones. We call this, the tactile. Rubbing your fingers together. There's auditory, sitting and listening. What's the farthest away sound? What's the closest sound? There's visual, looking at something very closely and figuring out, and just not letting your brain get involved, but just noticing what the different pieces of it are. And then sound. Well, we did sound. Let's see: sound, breath, visual, touch. We did them all. Okay, I don't want to miss any of them. And I guess in the rest of your life, just think, make every action that you do habitually a PQ rep. The idea is to get us out of our heads and into our bodies in any one of the sensory ways. So when you're eating, don't wolf it down, chew, be aware of this process, eat slowly, enjoy the sound and the taste of what you're doing. Of what you're eating, or when you're taking a shower, same thing. So think about ways that you can tap into this in the rest of your life. Listening to music, just being with loved ones, looking into their eyes, observing their eyes and what they look like. So there's so many different ways that you can, in between stressful situations, continue to build up, to strengthen your PQ brain. And that's what I do every morning. I listen to, they're only 3 minutes. They're between about 2 and 3 minutes, these little mini meditations that you listen to get you accessing your one of your 5 senses. So play with it. Definitely think about what it would mean for you not to be hijacked by any of these old voices or old habits that you've established. And I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to hear how it resonates with you. Check out my website about it. I've got a very short 1-page overview, and you can click to the saboteur assessment there to find out what your top 3 are. And then let me know how it goes. Try it out. Enjoy. And next month, it'll be, what are we doing? Kirtan Kriya, which is a Kundalini meditation. Hope to see you then, and let me know how it goes with your PQ reps.